Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about pre-flighting files. Pre-flighting files. Most of this material that we're going to go over this week is pretty much review, but there are a few things that I think some of you may need a little refresher on. So, pre-flighting is so very important. The first thing you want to do when you're finished with your job, always check at the very bottom, right down here. You'll see that there is a little dot right there. That's your pre-flighting information right there. And if you see, that dot should always be green. Right now we see a red dot. It says error. And I already know what the error is. And you could probably look at this file and see what the error is. I'll tell you exactly what it is. If you notice here, there's a little red plus sign here, which means basically there's overset text. So whenever you are finished with a job, make sure that you address this area down here if it's red. If it's green, everything is okay, but if it's red, that means there's a problem. And what you do is you can just click on the little arrow right here, and you can go to the pre-flight panel. All right? And when you go to the pre-flight panel, it's going to tell you exactly what the problem is. And you can see it says here text, and then when you open it up, you'll see it says overset text right there. All right? And it's going to tell you, let's say for example, if this was a multi-page document, it would tell you which page it's on right here. We only have one page, so we're not going to see a page count, but it'll tell you that there is overset text and it needs to be addressed. All right, so we'll close this down. So what I'm going to do right now is when I open this up to basically, to take a look, to expand the frame so that I can see all of the text. All right, and as you can see in this particular situation, now that little dot is green. It says no errors, and that means everything is okay. A little FYI. Whenever you're working with a job, and I call this best practices, you should always view your hidden characters. So you go up to type, drop down to show hidden characters, and you'll see the spaces will be indicated as little blue dots. The paragraphs will be indicated as a typical paragraph return right here, like an inverted P. But the main thing is, I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. When you are finished with your job, or when you're finished with a frame, the end of your story should always end with this pound sign right here at the end of the story. So that's a little FYI. You should always end your story, or your story should always end with a pound sign. Because sometimes, watch what I'm going to do right here. I can put in multiple returns. All right, and let's say, for example, I take off the show hidden characters type. I'm going to hide that. All right, and we can see the text ends right here. But watch what happens. If I close this frame up, okay, now we can see the text ends right here. But guess what? We have an overset text situation. There's the error. And what is being hidden, or what's being associated as overset text, is those returns. So when we say type, show hidden characters, oh, okay, there's a return there. And then when I open it up, I can see, all right, the bottom line is these returns, they are hidden characters. So if they are blocked out, then it's going to be viewed as overset text. So you take that, delete them. There is my pound sign. So even if I close up the frame, I'm good. I have no errors, it's green, and I'm ready to go. So that's one of the ways that you can make sure that there are no errors. And for the most part, when you see that error message, it is primarily due to some sort of a font issue. Next up, we're going to talk about missing and updating images. All right, so right now I'm here in my browser. I'm going to select this image right here. Okay, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to do a right click here, and then I am going to, let's see what I got here. Let's see, why did I don't know why I did that. So I'm going to click on this image, right click on it. All right, I'm going to save the image as, and the name is Cadillac CL3. I'm going to save that to my desktop. I'll say save. All right, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this again, and I'm going to say copy image. Okay, so I saved it to my desktop, and I also I'm going to close these tabs right now, and I have it and I copied it. All right. So now that I have it copied, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a frame. All right, and I'm just going to go right across. And then I am going to, or better yet, instead of doing that, I'm going to just do a Command V. No, better yet, I'm sorry. I'm going to create a frame, and then I am going to edit and paste into that frame. And then I'm going to use my fitting option, and then I'm going to say fit content proportionally. So I have it right there. Okay, and I'm going to view this display performance at high quality. Okay, so I have this image right here. All right, now next up, I'm going to duplicate this. All right, and then I'm going to replace the image that's right there, delete that, and I'm going to replace it with the image that I downloaded to my desktop. So I'll open that and put it in here. And as you can see, they look identical. They look identical. But there's a problem. One of them, there's only one image on this page. All right. And if you notice in the upper left-hand corner, there's nothing here, but there's a link here. So when we go to our links panel, you'll see that it only recognizes this image right here. Now the reason why that's important is because when you are working with InDesign, your assets must travel with the job. And that is to say that if you just drag something down from the internet and put it on your document, that's not going to work. You have to you can save an image from the web, put it in a folder, and then place it on your document. Because the bottom line is, once I shut down my browser, this top image, the link between this image right here and the image that's on the browser has now been lost. So this image really doesn't exist. So you always want to make sure that you see this little link icon here to let you know that the image is actually, you have an image on your document. So rule of thumb is, even if you're going to use imagery from the web, take it, save it to your desktop, put it in a folder, and then bring it in from that folder to your document so that you will establish a link, a relationship between the document and the asset. Next up, we're going to talk about packaging your files. And again, as I said to you guys before, most of this material is review, but for some, this could be very, very important. All right, when you package a document, in other words, unlike Microsoft Word, all right, images and text are not embedded in the file. Again, these are external assets and they have to travel with the job. So this is our layout. We have an image, we have words. Now what we want to do is package it. So before we go to the packaging option, which is under the file menu, the first thing we want to do, like we mentioned before, make sure there are no errors. And as you can see, this little button here is green. There's no errors. So now I'm ready to package. So I go up to File. I drop down to Package. Now this is the key. If you notice right here it says Summary, all right, this aisle, this column right here has to be clean. Nothing should be in this column right here. And as you see, there's a yellow diamond here. And basically what that says is, it doesn't say that there's anything wrong with it per se, but there is something that that needs to be corrected. And here's what it is. We are going to be generating a print ad. So InDesign is saying, okay, great, I know you want to do a print ad, but there's an issue with the colors. And it says here that one image uses the RGB color space. So we need to address that. So if you notice to the column to the left where it has summary, and we know it's an image, so we drop down to the second option right there, and it tells us, it says that the issue, the item in issue is the actual JPEG file, and it tells you that it's in a RGB color space. So we need to change that. So we'll say cancel, because we're not going to package it just yet, because we need to fix this image. So what you do is, and if you're on the Mac, it's Option Command and you double click. If you're on the PC, it's Control Alt and you double click. And once you do that, you're going to open up this image in the native application, which of course is Photoshop. So what we do at this point, we go up to Image, we drop down to Mode, we say CMYK color space. We can just click OK right here, because we need to make this, it cannot break out in 3 colors, it has to break out in CMYK, because those are the 4 process colors. We'll save this. All right, we'll say OK. All right, close this down. And in many cases, what's going to happen is, what you're going to see is that InDesign will automatically update this file. Now, nothing really has changed. It's still there, and it's still okay. But when we go up to File, and we drop down to Package, okay, let's see, go down to Package. Watch this. Now it's clear. Now it's clean, and we're ready to package. All right? So that is a quick overview of what you should look for when you go to package. And let's go a little further. So what we're going to do is we're going to say package, all right, and then it's going to ask you to save the document. So we'll save it, and we'll call this one, of course, we'll call it Cadillac CN. All right. I just like to keep everything as one word. I'll say OK. And what's going to happen is you're going to get a couple of alerts. And the first alert is right here. It's going to say, all right, printing instructions. Typically, many people do not fill this out, but let's say, for example, if you're sending this to a printer, you want to give that printer your access information, which they probably already have. But it's just a matter of saying, okay, if somebody needs to get in contact with you, you're giving them the information they need to get in contact with you if there's an issue. All right, so we'll go continue. All right, then next up is it's going to ask you, okay, well, where do you want to put it? And as you notice, once you start off from the very beginning, if you name your file properly, all right, that naming convention will carry through, on everything that you do. So right now, you can see we call it Cadillac CN, and it's going to create a Cadillac CN folder, and it's going to ask us what do we want in this particular folder. Now, I'm always when I package a job, I typically select 4 items here and 2 items here. All right. If you're not sure, you could just click them all. All right. But I typically do the fonts, the link graphics, if there's an update, and then where it says include fonts and links from hidden and non-printing content. Now, let's talk about these 2 things down here. The include IDML. Let's say, for example, if it's going to a vendor who's not using the latest version of InDesign, when you include the IDML, it'll save it in a format that even somebody who's working with an older version of InDesign will be able to open it up. And then, of course, the include PDF print, I typically click on this one as well, because let's say, for example, if the end user opens up the InDesign document, and let's say they didn't load in the fonts, then it is conceivable that things could have happened. But the courtesy is to the end user is that they can look at a PDF file and they can see exactly what it's supposed to look like. And if what they opened up looks a little different, then they know they have to address it. So that's why I typically include the PDF file, because it's a courtesy to the end user. And if you include the PDF file, you have options. High quality, there's a whole bunch of different options here. We'll just keep it at high quality for now. All right, and we'll say package. All right, this is basically just a disclaimer that tells you that it's illegal to transport fonts, basically to take fonts and transport them to an end user, and they could use it without paying for it. But anyway, you can click on don't show again, and that'll go away. We'll say OK, and then of course the packaging procedure will continue, and what will happen is you will get something that looks like this. And many of you guys who have done it, you've seen it before. Well, I don't have the view for it here, but you've seen what it looks like. It's a folder that has the assets in it, and in the next video, I'll show you what that folder